Deleted session, March 2nd, 1976. Now, good evening, and we will have a quiet session. After our legs extravaganza, there are several points I would like to make. We have a lot of work still cut out for us, but you will find that it will be handled very easily, almost automatically, requiring little notes but ordinary transcription. I foresee, with your joint approval, a series of shorter books on specific subjects, involving simple prose. The procedure itself, the format of the sessions, will no longer need to be stressed, so that more energy can be given to the presented material itself. Until now, however, it was very important that the mechanisms of the procedures were described, for the session format is, of course, part of the message. This is for the future, however, and again with your permission. Now, it may seem to most people that an exuberant, always vital, energetic, healthy body would indeed be one of the greatest gifts of all. A body that never worried or showed signs of any disorder, a body that went ahead on its own, so to speak, propelled by feelings of strength and vigor. This certainly sounds like a fine ideal. Yet I tell you that in such a body you would finally feel like a prisoner, for your moods and reflections, your feelings and your thoughts would find no responsive mirror in your flesh. You would wear a constant smile, and your blooming cheeks would often deny the heart's hard-earned knowledge. It is natural and healthy to yearn for a comfortable body if you are in health difficulties. The body, however, is not an assumed facade, but the physical materialization in your world of your inner being. All of nature is responsive, pliant, changing, each part connected with each other part. It is quite natural, then, that during a lifetime you experience various assorted periods of temporary illness. This will be caused by your beliefs and your feelings, but they will not be necessarily negative at all, but a demonstration of the body's responsiveness. It is not realistic to expect a life of unending, exuberant health with no momentary lapses of any kind. Such momentary lapses follow personal and cultural patterns. Some generations fall heir to certain fashionable diseases. For example, the body copes with inner and exterior reality, and performs a marvelous job of maintaining multitudinous balances. Ideally, the body would always right itself after such lapses from exuberant health. But even those lapses often exercise that resiliency. Maintaining that resiliency, then, is the important issue. Many such lapses are exaggerated because of your beliefs, so that they are experienced in a more drastic form than necessary. Generally, drugs impede that resiliency. Often your medical beliefs as a cultural stabilized conditions that, let alone, would right themselves. As you know, this can apply, for example, to children being given eyeglasses. In the situation in which you find yourselves, however, eyeglasses become a more practical alternative, because you do not possess the proper mental methods to offset the current belief system. The mind may want to react. The individual may realize that his or her pace has been too fast. And so natural feelings bring about a lethargy of body, or a slight fever, or an indisposition. All quite natural, resilient activities. I do not want this ever to be interpreted to mean, a priori and in conventional terms, that suffering is good for the soul. A reliance and faith in the natural self, however, would be large enough to accept certain indispositions without fear, panic, or doubt. With the best of intent, most public health announcements shout the symptoms of critical diseases to the skies, so that the smallest of dispositions becomes the trigger for personal fear on the part of millions. Such announcements actually teach people to fear what might be happening within the body. There is a stress upon disease rather than health. When such beliefs are shared by an entire society, then the slightest indisposition is instantly suspect. Give us a moment. There are also, as I have said before, diseases that come and go, of the so-called killing variety. The inner problem is solved and the disease vanishes. People are not aware of this, and so they are unfamiliar with the great healing benefits provided by the body. Rob noted to me, they said, "You are stubborn. Your own thoughts wore you out. You needed to let down, and you would not do it. You could not take a vacation, you felt. You worried about time and your painting and unknown reality, and you would not relax. You worried about other issues that I told you about, taxes and money. You not only worried about the present, but you dwelled upon the past mistakes. You remembered doing Ruber's dialogues, drawings, and adventures diagrams, and those thoughts crowded your present. To some extent, it is quite valid to say, though you may not agree with me, that you might as well have had all that work to do now as well. Those feelings about time and the way you handled them seemed to make your own time shrink. On top of that, you projected worries into the future as well. Your body very wisely stepped in short-circuited you for a while. You were too weak to worry. At the same time, you could not enjoy such enforced idleness. Far be it from that. So the period was highly unpleasant. This was to help you save face. You didn't take time out because you wanted to, but because you were so miserable that you could not walk, and then yelled out in outrage that the body so betrayed you. The body's resiliency gave you the breathing space that you needed and would not take consciously. It was responsive to your own desires and needs, where you consciously were not. At the same time, however, other issues were served, already mentioned. You understood what Ruber had been working through, at a much lighter level, of course, and at least to some degree, Ruber could feel that he was helping you physically. You also together solved the other problems mentioned, where he did not panic, as he might have in the past, but continued his own improvement. Not only singly, then, but jointly people are related through their body's responsiveness to other issues. Give us a moment. Raise your hand and get our friend some beer. In the world as you know it, it is quite natural to feel sad or even despondent at times. These are portions of the emotional reality that are native to your kind. These are not negative states on their own, any more than twilight is less natural than dawn. They are not even unpleasant states on their own. It is natural then to feel depressed at times. No one constant emotional state is meant to prevail. There are gradations and nuances of feeling and sensation that sweep through your own experience, the result of quite natural variations. Your overall beliefs, however, can be so exaggerated in a negative manner that finally some people accept as valid the most negative picture of the world. Now, you can depress the body and the mind through certain drugs, destroying that great natural resiliency. A concentration upon negative thoughts and feelings to the exclusion of all else will depress the mind and the body as surely as any drugs. Your visitors believe that these children who can also move objects are unique and a new breed, but any children of past generations who realized that such feats were possible and desirable could do the same thing. Your point about the foot races is well taken in that context. The mile run. I have little to say otherwise, except that your own attitudes have changed for the better. For you took your strength for granted for once, and did not concentrate upon those areas that you once felt were so shameful. For Rupert's condition is not shameful by any means, yet both of you felt that it was. This had much to do with the way you faced the world. It was not so much that Rupert could not make it to a bar, or in a store. He obviously could not walk well. He obviously had difficulties, but you were both ashamed of those difficulties, so that he was ashamed to go into the bar or the supermarket. Regardless, and to some extent, this still applies. In the past, you would have been ashamed jointly to meet this visitor. Rupert's satisfaction with his book and your reinforcement of its value put the symptoms in the background. While they were obviously noticeable, they were an unimportant issue in the visit, an important footnote in Androja's experience, but not a part of the main page or message, if you understand me. As a result, Rupert's vitality, and I am not speaking loosely, radiated health, and that message got across. Before, the symptoms predominated in such an encounter as with Munro, because of your attitudes. Your visitor will help spread the word, so to speak, but the books will make their own way regardless. The interview was important because it dispelled some of your visitors' erroneous beliefs about mediums and the utilization of energy. Some scientists and people in parapsychology will learn of our work through your friend because of his travels. He is a friend of yours, though you met him but once. Yet in your work, as always, keep your counsel. My heartiest regards and a fond good evening. I will not begin dictation this evening, but helpfully we will begin again in our next session. Ross said, "Thank you very much," Seth. They said, "I will autograph your book." And good evening. Ross said, "Thank you."